What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, I wanted to showcase the newly buffed Florges in the Open Ultra League, showcasing what Chilling Water can do. This newly added move is going to be a water-type version of Icy Wind, which means every time you throw it, it's a guaranteed attack drop for your opponents. It's one of the best coverage types a Fairy-type Pokemon could have. Think Azumarill in Great League, a Water and Fairy type. That is basically what our Florges can now do here, and because it has Fairy Wind and Moonblast, this is a great Pokemon right now in the meta. I'm going to pair it up with a Regidrago, one of my favorite picks here right now in the Ultra League, having Hyper Beam as well as Dragon Energy, a lot of high damaging moves, and in the lead, having some bulk with our Corviknight. Let's get into the battles and see what this team can do. Alright, let's get into it here. The first game of the day, Corviknight up against a Shadow Scizor in the lead. A fantastic lead matchup, actually, because our backline is so weak to this Pokemon, and just inherently, Corviknight is pretty good to this Pokemon, despite not doing any super effective damage, just because we do outpace and we do resist that bullet punch from this Scizor. Night Slash comes through, no boost, love to see that here. Payback would do a lot to them, so I go for the bait on this Air Cutter. I know even if they call this attack, that I can still outpace them, and this matchup, the longer it goes, the worse it gets for the Shadow Scizor. They're going to go for another Night Slash here. I'm going to no shield, knowing I do survive, and then go for a lot more energy generation, and right before the next Night Slash, I can throw an Air Cutter. I'm going to build up a lot more energy here. I'm at the back-to-back Air Cutter. If they shield this, I have a second one ready to go. If they no shield, down goes a very tricky Pokemon for our backline. Air Cutter coming through, knocking out the Shadow Scizor, and let's see who they're going to come in with here. If they do come in with a hard counter to us, then potentially I don't want to stay in. Maybe keeping our energy and our HP on our Corviknight could be helpful. They come in a Belly Bolt with Thundershock. And because I don't want to give them a huge farm down, we come in instantly with our Florges. They boost their defense, but I lower your attack. This Chilling Water coming through, it's not going to do a lot of damage, but it will provide a lot of utility. Make it so while they can boost themselves, we can debuff them. We can make it so if they do stay in this matchup, it's not going to be that comfortable. Another attack coming through from them, it's going to be another Parabolic Charge. It will chip us down, but thanks to that attack drop, there's no chance that they can farm us down here. I can go for a Moonblast now, and despite them being at +2 defense, I know that Florges is still going to do quite a bit of damage here against this Pokemon. Moonblast comes through, it puts them down into the yellow, into the red with a couple more Fairy Winds, and they overfarm even more. Chilling Water being thrown once again to chip them down even further into the red. They no-shield that, and now in the back, I'm going to see a Shadow Claw Giratina come in. I do luckily get this Chilling Water off before getting Shadow Claw down, but I was nowhere near the Moonblast. Probably not going to see a shield here from our opponent. They do let it go, but now Regidrago can come in and see what we can do. Thanks to that attack drop that I got against them, I know Dragon Claw will not one-shot us, but I also know Dragon Claw would still do a formidable amount of damage. I'm going to shield this up here. I'm going to go for the Dragon Energy in just a second as well. This attack is super effective against the Giratina. They have to shield something at this point. Likely going to see it here. In comes that Dragon Energy. In comes their first shield, and now in comes their next attack. Thanks to them being debuffed, and thanks to the Switch Clock coming up, I know that I want to no-shield this attack, saying it would do less damage than if they were to swap out, clear the debuff, and then go for a Dragon Claw, but they went for an Ancient Power Bait instead, which means I can no-shield, take almost no damage from them, and get their second shield with our next Dragon Energy. In comes another attack here from this Giratina, and I know for a fact that I would basically get knocked out if I go for the no-shield. I shielded the Dragon Claw, and now in comes that Belly Bolt, who I think stored almost a full Zap Cannon of energy. But with that said, if they do throw Zap Cannon, which it looks like they do, I can just bring in my Corviknight, not even be worried about taking a charge attack, build up so much energy, and go for the payback against this Giratina. I think at this point, this Giratina has nowhere to hide. This move should knock him out. Yeah, easily down in the red, this Giratina had nowhere to hide, and we're able to pick up the win. GG to our opponent. Next game is going to be a Kyurem in the lead up against our Corviknight. Honestly, our whole team's pretty good against this Pokemon, but it's also a little bit more awkward than you'd expect. The Steel type into the Dragon and Ice type Pokemon. Honestly, we don't have any Steel type damage, right? And our Air Cutters, while they do outpace, it doesn't do that much to them. I luckily do get an attack boost, which is pretty nice to see, but then they safe swap to their Runerigus, a Pokemon that I don't have a hard response to. Bit of a misplay by me here. I mistimed my move, which means now they're going to be able to debuff us potentially before I land my payback or my Air Cutter bait. If I would have thrown before this, then it's almost a guaranteed shield, but now maybe they can no shield. Yeah, they do. Not the greatest play by me here, but maybe I can still get a shield if I go for another bait in just a second. I'm doubling down. If they don't shield once, maybe they'll shield this next one. In comes Air Cutter. Will I get that shield? Our opponent this time does end up drawing that shield, realizing that a payback from that range would be enough to knock out. In comes another attack here. Shadow Ball would not... Actually, no, Shadow Ball would knock us out. Rock Tomb not quite enough. Yeah, they realize that. They go for the full-on Shadow Ball. Not very well played with my Corviknight, not gonna lie. But, you know, now our Regidrago can come and go for an Energy Farm and see if they want to swap out. Or see if they even want to Shadow Ball us. Once again, no shielding. This time it is that Rock Tomb. We can survive that pretty comfortably. Overfarm a lot of energy against this Pokemon. Throw right before they're able to get to that next move against us. I know for a fact our Regidrago is going to have a lot of play against that Kyurem if it comes back in. We still have a shield. We have a lot of energy. We'll see what they want to do. Kyurem does come right back in. We have that Dragon Energy ready to go. Super effective damage will likely still knock him out despite that debuff on my attack stat. And now our Florges comes in, but for some reason our opponent's staying in, and not only that, they're throwing energy against us. Glaciate is neutral against our Fairy-type Pokemon, but because we're going to be able to absorb all of the energy here, potentially that means Regidrago could have more play in the backline. But man, my Florges is now at -2 attack. I don't love to see that. But here is where Chilling Water is going to come in clutch. Back in the day when you had Trailblaze and Moonblast, this Pokemon, Skeletor, would just hardwall all of your energy. I guess at -2, it doesn't really look like you're doing that much better. But trust me, this is so much better than it would have been otherwise. That is why they threw energy, because if they did not debuff us, then honestly, our Florges would have popped off against this backline. We get both of those moves to land, which means this Skeletor is at -2 attack. I can go for the shield on what is likely a Torch Song. They can boost our attack stat up one stage here by going for this, but because I resist these Incinerates, I think we're in a pretty good spot here to overfarm a lot of energy. Make sure if we ever see that Kyurem come back in, snipe him down instantly with that Dragon Energy to guarantee that we don't take any extra Dragon Breath damage. And then, yeah, we see it come in, and we should still be able to outpace that Skeletor to another Dragon Energy before they're able to get to a final attack. Down goes that Kyurem. We're just barely able to outpace. In comes our Dragon Energy. This Skeletor, nowhere to hide. This move will easily knock him out. GG to our opponent. Chilling Water Florges kind of coming in clutch there in the backline. Next game, Corviknight up against a Corviknight. Fantastic lead, because once again, my backline not the strongest against this Pokemon. Florges actually has an insanely good matchup here, though. I don't know if we're going to be able to showcase that just yet here. But because Chilling Water is such a spammy move, and it debuffs your opponent's attack stat, while Corviknight is a Steel type, it's honestly not that comfortable for them. But with that said, I'd rather still be outside of that matchup if I can. I'm going to try to chip them down here with our paybacks and see what they want to do. Our Regidrago as well is happy to avoid this Corviknight, saying that I have Hyper Beam, I have Dragon Breath, Dragon Energy, all of those attacks resisted by Steel-type Pokemon, so if I can avoid this with our Regidrago, that's always nice to see. But now after landing 2 paybacks here, potentially they're in a range where I could go for a Dragon Breath down, maybe a Dragon Energy, maybe just a Chilling Water to knock them out. Payback comes through against us. We don't know who wins CMP. They did not let us see that just yet. I'm going to go for a catch with our Florges. If this is a payback, that is so good for us right now. We have an extra sneak of our energy there too with that Fairy Wind, which means we can outpace almost anything into the game. And in the backline, going to be another Belly Bolt. Surprise, surprise. I guess at this point, it's pretty obvious that the best core in this meta is Belly Bolt plus Corviknight. Those two Pokemon are absolutely everywhere. Once again, it is on Thundershock as well, which means that my Florges has a slightly worse time against this Pokemon, but still, since we outpace here to the attacks, it's not that bad. We're going to go for the Moonblast here. Our opponent, for some reason, not throwing with that Parabolic Charge. They must not have got the memo. When you're on a Belly Bolt, you always just instantly throw Parabolic Charge. You always boost your defense as quickly as you can here. And now I go for a catch, potentially on our Regidrago. In comes the move. It's going to be another Parabolic Charge at -1 attack. Doesn't do all that much damage. Final Pokemon revealed as another Kyurem here. Man, I guess we've seen a lot of these teams today. This is going to be another Pokemon that has a lot of play for our whole team, but also at the low HP range all of our Pokemon are. This could be a little bit uncomfortable. I'm going to go for the Dragon Energy, try our very best here to draw a shield. I mean, at this point, though, if they no shield, honestly, I'm pretty happy with that, too. Now, of course, they do end up shielding. I'm going to go for another Dragon Energy, but they are smart. They go for a CMP with another Glaciate. This will, in fact, knock us out if I let it go. So instead, I shield this up, and we'll see if they want to respond with a shield of their own. I have a lot of energy still left over on our Corviknight. I also have our Florges with a lot of HP. We swap into our Florges here, and in comes that Corviknight once again. I overfarm just a little bit of energy. I don't want to take an Air Cutter here, which they were very close to, so this will knock him out. But I know at this point, Florges has a lot of work to do right now. Belly Bolt might come back in here. They have some energy on that, but our Corviknight as well in the backline has a lot of energy. This game is going to be down to the wire. Our opponent not quite realizing how much energy I have. We outpace here to that Chilling Water. This should knock him out, and potentially we might knock out that Kyurem as well with our Florges. In comes that Kyurem, full Florges sweep in the backline. GG to our opponent. Next game, Corviknight up against a Fortress. Okay, if this is Bug Bite, that's pretty good. If this is Volt Switch, honestly, that is a little bit uncomfortable for our team. Yeah, I guess I had to say something. It is Volt Switch, which means that is a lot of super effective fast move pressure here. But because Corviknight is a little bit spammier here than this Fortress to that first charge attack, I can actually reach for the payback, get a decent chunk of damage against them, and it's not like a Rock Tomb's going to do all that much damage to us. I'm going to go for the No Shield here. Obviously, it's not going to do too much here. I might want to switch out to clear my debuffs, and interestingly enough, I bring in our Florges. You might be wondering why I would bring in a Fairy type into a Steel type Pokemon, but that is because this Steel type doesn't have any Steel type damage. I can No Shield this attack, get some Chilling Waters off against them if they let us, or I guess if the Blastoise comes in, just go for some Moonblast here and try our best to chip this Pokemon down. I guess having Trailblaze would be a little bit better for us in this matchup, but because Moonblast is still a very hard-hitting move, we can dance around this thing if we need to. Hydro Cannon coming through. I'm pretty sure in Ultra League, this is not going to come anywhere close to knocking us out. Yeah, no, we survived that. We can go for another Moonblast here, put them deep into the yellow, maybe even into the red, and see what they want to do from here. In comes our Moonblast. Our opponent now is going to No Shield once again. Regidrago comes in, and our opponent throws a move a little bit too quickly. That means almost certainly this is a Hydro Cannon and not an Ice Beam. No Shield necessary by our Regidrago, and they bring in their own Regidrago. I don't know how this is going to play out. I know for a fact that they are going to be such an annoying Pokemon to take down. Both that Fortress in the back and this Regidrago up a lot of HP might be able to go for a full farm down against us. Another Dragon Energy going to be thrown. I'm not quite sure if we can survive long enough to get to a third Dragon Energy in this matchup. If we can, then potentially we're still going to have some play. Our opponent actually does not risk it. I think from the looks of there is a chance I could have got that, so I do think they had to throw energy, but now I have a lot of HP, a lot of energy on my Corviknight. I can bring that in here, go for a shield on a Dragon Energy, and if I'm careful with my energy management, I think we can win this game. In comes that Dragon Energy against us. In comes the Blastoise here, and I know they're 3 away from a move. We go for the catch on that final rollout there. They're forced into the move. If they didn't, they just get Fairy Wind down anyway. Hydro Cannon is going to knock us out, but now even more Sand Attack is going to come through, knock out the Blastoise, and we'll see which Pokemon wants to take all of our energy. Looks like it's going to be a Fortress that comes right back in, and we know this Pokemon has a little bit of residual energy right now. I go for that payback. I know I need to go for an Air Cutter here as well to knock him out. I don't even want to take that Air Cutter, or rather that Volt Switch of damage against him, so I throw this Air Cutter in the middle of the Volt Switch. Down goes that Fortress. We get the boost to our attack stat. Very unnecessary at this point because we could outpace to a payback anyway, but our opponent realizes not much they can do, and we're able to pick up the win. Next game, fantastically matchup for a Flying-type Pokemon. Although, as far as Flying types go, this is not the most hard counter matchup, even though I pasted these Air Cutters so quickly, just because they have a lot of neutral damage here with the double kicks as well as the Sacred Swords. I can no-shield that Sacred Sword. Honestly, that is so little damage on it. That's so bad for them in the first place. They safe swap a Licky. Man, don't see that Pokemon too often in this meta. I know for a fact, though, no matter what moveset they have, I can survive 2 charge attacks here in the zero shield scenario, and I have a Corviknight as well as a Florges against that Venusian. There's almost nowhere for that Pokemon to go. Dragon Energy is already going to be reached. I'm almost at back-to-back, actually, so if our opponent doesn't throw a move right now, then they're going to be pretty low, maybe even get knocked out. Yeah, it looks like they're going to get knocked out by this next Dragon Energy. Licky not quite bulky enough here to survive 2 of these moves, so they do shield, and they do have quite a bit of energy here, but I think at this point, maybe even a Shadow Ball wouldn't be enough to knock us out from here. I'm going to no-shield. Our opponent goes for a Body Slam instead, a little bit of an inefficient use of energy, because now they have to go for another one to knock us out. I have another Dragon Energy myself, but as we were talking about, I don't necessarily need Switch right now. If I get energy lead on my Florges or my Corviknight, then that Venusian has nowhere to hide, and I can throw paybacks or Air Cutters into whatever their final Pokemon is, depending on how bad it might be for us. So I think no matter what, we're in a pretty good spot. Shadow Ball will land against us, but we can Sand Attack all the way down before another attack will be reached. Who's going to come in? It is going to be that Unnovan Stunfisk, the Pokemon that I don't really like to see with our Corviknight, but it looks like our Florges is actually a pretty nasty core breaker for our opponent's team. We have access to that Chilling Water, super effective damage against this Ground-type Pokemon. We have Moonblast as well for that Venusian, so as long as we don't let a catch happen in this game, we should be able to win this one. In comes that Mud Bomb. Our opponent at this point is going to try their best to maybe make a catch. They actually just throw another Mud Bomb here. Might have to wait a turn, might have to make sure they don't go for a catch in just a second. Mud Bomb comes through. Our opponent now is going to go for another Thundershock. We go for that Chilling Water, and this, while it won't knock them out, will put them down pretty low. In comes the move here. Our opponent will end up no-shielding. In comes that Venusian. And now I know for a fact my one lose condition is going for a Chilling Water bait. Might as well go for the Moonblast here. Guarantee either a shield or almost a knockout. They no shield, hoping for that bait there. But now we can shield farm down, and this game should be ours. In comes the Leaf Blade here against us. That would knock us out, but thanks to our just Fairy Wind damage, I guess, we can farm them down. Yeah, not much they can really do there. So they top left, and we're able to pick up the win. GG there to them. Next game, Unnovan Stunfisk, this time on the lead. All right, this is going to be a tricky game. I'm going to safe swap my Florges and see what we can do here. If they stay in, I have Chilling Water. If they swap out, we have Chilling Water. So, you know, it's a win-win scenario here no matter what. Mud Bomb, Chip and Dip going to happen, and in comes their Corviknight. All right, so I was talking about how this matchup might not be the worst here for our Florges. Let's see if that's going to play out in this matchup. With the chip damage that we took, maybe this is not going to be as good as it could be in the straight-up even shield scenario. But, I mean, I can spam out a lot of these moves here. Air Cutter after that debuff, doing very little damage, no boost on their end as well, which means they're at -1 attack, -2 after this next Chilling Water, -3, -4 maybe even after this matchup. Let's see what we can end up doing. Our opponent now is going to go for another Air Cutter right before my third Chilling Water will be thrown. And take a look at this. I can survive this. I can probably survive this one plus the next one pretty comfortably. Yeah, this next Chilling Water already going to be reached. Our opponent probably is not going to shield, but Florges, despite being up against a Steel-type Pokemon, is putting in a decent amount of work, honestly. In comes the next attack from our opponent, but once again, they're at -3, I think, so this is not going to knock us out. We can no-shield this, get a 4th attack off into this Pokemon, and that should guarantee at this point that this Corviknight is going to do next to no damage. In comes our move, Chilling Water, gonna get a lot of damage, not quite into farm down range though, and thanks to that chip damage they had earlier, I don't think I can quite survive long enough to flip this matchup, but we will force a little bit more energy out of this Corviknight to close things off. Oh no, they boost our attack stat, so now they're only at -3, this is devastating for us. I go for a full farm down here, that is fantastic to see. Oh, well, okay, that's game over. They just RPS'd us, never mind. GG there to our opponent, I guess not much I could do. Alright, next game is a Gastrodon in the lead, fantastic Pokemon for a Corviknight to see. Maybe they have Water Pulse to have better coverage against us, but if they do, they didn't end up showing that there. Instead, they swapped out into a Shadow for Alligator. I don't have a hard answer to this. I have Regidrago, which is a decent response, but the problem with Regidrago is obviously this Pokemon is weak to Ice-type damage. If I'm down on energy, then potentially Ice Beam could one-shot us, or at least put us into Shadow Claw farm down range. So I take some damage on our Corviknight, and then bring in my Regidrago here, and we get a shield from our opponent. They could go for Hydro Cannon baits even still to get some of that energy lead back, but I know for a fact that no matter what happens here, our Regidrago can at least neutralize most of this Pokemon, and it's not like I'm that worried about that Gastrodon there in the backline. In comes our Dragon Energy number 2. Our opponent likely will shield this or not. Down goes that Shadow for Alligator, and in comes that Gastrodon once again. So if they don't have access here to Earth Power, they can't really knock us out from this range with a single charge attack. So we can go for a Dragon Energy. We can see at this point, if they want to go for a shield or not, Dragon Energy does a sizable amount of damage to this Gastrodon. In fact, they overfarm just a little bit too much. Body Slam or Water Pulse might have knocked us out before this, but now this Dragon Energy going to guarantee a shield or a knockout against that Pokemon. In the backline is a Shadow Typhlosion, another one of these situations where if I didn't have access to Chilling Water, we might just lose this game on the spot. We would have been hard-walled back in the day, but Chilling Water is now super effective into this Pokemon. Not only that, the utility of debuffing a Shadow Typhlosion should be able to win us this game. You also have to keep in mind now, our Corviknight has a lot of energy on it in the backline. While our Florges might not be able to one-shot with the Chilling Water, all we really need here is to land a single charge attack, force even more energy out of them, and Florges should be in a spot here to whittle down this Pokemon just enough to win us this game. They do go for another attack here, but I don't think that a Thunder Punch would be enough. I think they have to Blast Burn us here to knock us out. Our opponent gets a little bit greedy. We survive that pretty comfortably thanks to the 2 debuffs, and we just get to another Chilling Water. This will knock out the Typhlosion, who even needs our other Pokemon. Florges in the backline cleans up this Shadow Typhlosion. GG to our opponent. Next game is our Corviknight up against a Hippowdon. Okay, depending on the moveset here, this is not that bad. It's going to be, it looks like Ice Fang. Okay, so it's not Thunder Fang or Fire Fang. It's also not Sand Attack, which is, I don't know, I guess this is like the second best moveset I could see. But either way, the energy generation is not that high for them. And also, I guess getting rid of a Pokemon with Ice-type damage so our Regidrago doesn't have to deal with it is probably also a pretty good thing. In comes an attack here. Weather Ball going to be thrown into us. It does a decent chunk of damage, and now Shadow for Alligator will come in. I have access here to a lot of damage on my Corviknight, but I also know at this point that a Hydro Cannon doesn't knock him out, and we know that this matchup against our Regidrago might be a little bit worrisome for our Regidrago against this for Alligator later on in this game, so I do want to ship him down if I can. I'm going to go for a payback and see what they want to do. They actually do let that move go, which means they should be in a Dragon Breath farm down range here, especially if I shield up an Ice Beam. I doubt they can get to another attack. I'm going to shield this up and see if they can swap out or if they go for the nuke. They do Ice Beam, which is fantastic. We can go for that shield farm down, but in comes a swap by our opponent into an Empoleon. But honestly, I'm happy to see Empoleon here. I know at this point that our Florges will avoid this Pokemon for the most part. Dragon Breath, while it is resisted, as well as these Dragon Energies, are still going to do quite a good amount of damage against this Pokemon because Empoleon, not well known for its bulk, and Regidrago, it's well known for its offense. These Dragon Energies drawing shields from this Pokemon, and one Drill Peck from an Empoleon is not going to knock us out. In fact, it's not even going to put us into a farm down range for these Metal Sounds, so we should be able to no-shield that pretty comfortably, go for a Dragon Energy once again, and potentially draw their final shield. But honestly, I'd rather just have them no-shield this. That'd be a lot easier to deal with because Empoleon at this point is going to outpace us here to 2 moves. I try to go for a catch, but a little bit too late, which means now Drill Peck will knock us out. I do have a decent amount of HP on my Corviknight, at least enough here to maybe get to an Air Cutter. I'm hoping at this point that we've whittled down most of the team enough where our Florges can sweep the endgame. We just barely reach this Air Cutter at the last second. This move, while it will not knock him out, might put them into a Fairy Wind farm down range for our Florges. In comes a move, down goes their Corviknight, but now Florges is up to bat. Can it have enough to win this game? They are at back-to-back Hydro Cannons right now. In comes that first one here. It doesn't knock us out thanks to it being a non-shadow. And I know at this point I need to shield this up. If I let this go, then I'm in fast move farm down range. If I shield this up as well, then they might have to go for a full-on Scorching Sands against us with this Hippowdon. I go for the Chilling Water, potentially a mistake. Maybe I should have gone for the Moonblast here instead. That would have done a little bit more raw damage despite not being super effective. But I think either way, we can still get a full farm down against this Pokemon, have a lot of energy for the backline. We'll see who they come in with here. And I think honestly at this point we can either Fairy Wind everything down or maybe throw a Chilling Water if we need to against that for Alligator. Yeah, it looks like we farmed down that Pokemon. Full endgame sweep once again for Florges, able to clean things up. Love to see it. Next game, Runerigus in the lead. A Pokemon that we've talked about earlier on in this video not being that good for our team. Honestly, we have play into it, but we also don't have the hard answer to this Pokemon. We can try to go for bait and nuke games if we want to, but also they might go for Rock Tombs, which I don't really want to throw debuff payback, so I'm going to swap out here. Actually, I was going to try to swap out, but you didn't get a 0-turn swap after that, so instead I'm going to go for the payback anyway. Maybe get a shield, maybe get a lot of damage. Looks like they will end up going for the shield on that payback, which is a lot of wasted energy from our Corviknight, but, I've gone for a lot of baits today. Sometimes you have to keep them honest, go for the nukes, and, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Chilling Water is going to come through. Oh, they caught on their Shadow Alolan Ninetales. I mean, I am so fine seeing this Pokemon here. Now this Ice and Fairy-type Pokemon gets to avoid our Regidrago, which means no matter what happens this game, this should be at least somewhat favorable for us. I know a Chilling Water might not knock them out from this range, but a Moonblast just might. They're already down one shield. They don't want a double shield, so we knock out that Pokemon. We have a little bit of energy here on our Florges. What are they going to come in with? They come right back in with that Runerigus, and they might have made a bit of a misplay here. They went for a CMP on our Chilling Water, miscounting our energy on our Florges, which means now a lot of their energy is going to go down the drain, and as long as they don't have another Fairy type in the backline, our Regidrago with a shield advantage should be in a pretty good spot. They actually full send a Shadow Ball there as well, which is amazing for us to see. I think at this point, Regidrago is going to be able to have quite a bit of play, but I'm not quite sure if there's a second Fairy type. That could be kind of bad for us, but I'm going to bank on the fact that it might just not be. Rock Tomb comes to a debuff my attack step, and now I can go for that payback in just a second, overfarm as much as we possibly can. If they want to go down 2 shields, they can be my guest. If they want to let this go as well, then we can see what's in the backlane. Corviknight is still around just in case there is a Fairy, but it is not a Fairy type Pokemon. Instead, it is an Armored Mewtwo, a Pokemon that by no means wants to take all of my damage, especially when I have a shield advantage. We have access to Dragon Energy here. In comes the Nuke move. This move, while it will not one-shot them, will easily be able to 2-shot an Armored Mewtwo here. They shield the first attack, but I have a shield myself. In fact, I have 2 ready to go, which means Armored Mewtwo will never land a charge attack against us. And not only that, but I have a Corviknight in the backline. Corviknight resisting all of the fast move pressure here, potentially being able to close this out if I need it to, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're going to need Corviknight at this point. Our opponent concurs, they top left, and we take the win. GG to our opponent. Next game is Shadow Caesar on the lead up against our Corviknight, and we saw this lead earlier on in the video. One of the best Pokemon I can see here, just because I can get this Pokemon out of the way for our backline. If they are staying in, I am a little bit worried that that might mean the backline would be also weak to our Corviknight, but because Corviknight is such a spammy Pokemon here, I can just guarantee to win this matchup no matter what. I can come out with some energy, and if I need to save Corviknight, I can swap out as well, especially once the Shadow Caesar is out of the way. I should be able to pretty safely safe swap our Florges and be in a good spot. Not only that, but we got a boost on that first air cutter, which might mean this next one will knock out a little bit earlier than the last one, which means we do draw an early shield. We get a double boost, actually. Okay, love to see that, which means now I can go for the shield here, have a double boosted Corviknight against the backline. Our opponent is going to take so much sand attack damage now. Wow, that is doing a decent amount to them. They catch on a Cradily. Fantastic catch by our opponent, but a +2 air cutter is going to do honestly still nothing, but it does chip them down potentially into a range where our Regidrago can go for a Dragon Energy and farm down after the fact. This is going to be thrown on CMP right before they're going to be able to get off their Rock Tomb against us. Regidrago is going to land the attack. I'm not quite sure, though, if we can farm down. It's going to be close, but I think in Ultra League, Cradily might just be a little bit too bulky. Rock Tomb comes through, it debuffs our attack stat, but I'm going to go for the farm down if I can. No, I guess, no, we have to go for the Dragon Energy here to knock him out, and Dragon Energy, while it will be a lot of energy down the drain, it will guarantee the knockout. This Pokemon is now out of the way for our Florges, and now Shadow Caesar as well is going to be out of the way, potentially for our Florges. I think we're going to be in a decent spot, but it could still be a little bit tricky. Comes that Gastrodon here in the backline. We have access to our Florges. I think this is a situation where having Trailblaze would just instantly win us the game, whereas having Chilling Water is going to be a little bit more awkward to try to win, but I think we're still in a pretty good spot. I have access to debuffing moves against them. This move will put them down into a range where a Moonblast would be enough to knock them out, or maybe just go straight Chilling Water. I don't even know at this point what would be the better play. They go for a Body Slam here against us. I can go for another charge attack in just a second. I go for the bait on a Moonblast. This Chilling Water might not get a shield, but maybe it does. Either way, we have win conditions here in this game. They do shield that Chilling Water. In the back, it's going to be a Shadow Caesar. I go for the Chilling Water once again to guarantee the knockout against this Pokemon, and because they have reset the debuffs, maybe Gastrodon can put in some work against our Corviknight, but because I still have a lot of HP on my Florges, I think we're in a pretty good spot. I no shield, I'm going to call the bait here. They go for the Body Slam, not going to be able to knock us out, and now, even if they do have access to a lot of energy here, there's not much they can do. I'm outside of Body Slam range. I shield this up just in case it's a heavy-hitting attack, and it is an Earth Power that would have knocked us out, so good shield by us, and now Payback would finish off the game, but our opponent top left, and we're able to pick up the win. GG there to them. All right, well, that finishes off the day here with a 4-1 set, which means this team, you actually probably didn't see our starting elo. We started around 4 points higher than this. We went 11-9 today in the Go Battle League with Florges, and because, unfortunately, we were pretty high on the leaderboard, we actually dropped points by going positive in the day. Don't love to see that, but it is still going to prove this team is pretty successful, right? I feel like we didn't get a lot of good matchups specifically for Florges today, but even in the bad matchups, Chilling Water was able to bail you out of those bad spots, and pairing it up with Pokemon like this Corviknight and this Regidrago here, I think just having a really solid core to use this Pokemon around, debuff things, go for heavy-hitting moves if you need to get shields down, and then closing with either Corviknight or Regidrago, it's a fantastic team, and if you want to give Chilling Water Florges a go, give this team a try. All right, well, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.